The fluorescent lights of the Barcelona mall buzzed like angry hornets, casting long shadows across the marble floors slick with the remnants of a sudden afternoon shower. Quinn Harper's heart slammed against her ribs as rough hands clamped down on her shoulders, yanking her back from the ice cream stand where she'd just handed over a melting cone of strawberry swirl. Ladrona! Sequestradora, a woman's voice shrieked from behind, slicing through the chatter like a knife through silk, the word kidnapper hanging in the air, venomous and final. In that split second, the world tilted. The little girl beside Quinn, 8 years old, all wild curls and freckles, froze, her sticky fingers still gripping the waffle cone, pink drips tracing paths down her wrist like tears she hadn't yet shed. Then, with a voice that cracked the chaos wide open, she whipped around and buried her face in Quinn's thigh, wailing, "Mommy. Don't let them take me from Mommy." Quinn's knees buckled, but she caught herself on the edge of the counter, the cold metal biting into her palms. The security guards, 2 burly men in ill-fitting uniforms, their faces etched with the boredom of routine until this very moment, hesitated, exchanging glances that flickered from suspicion to confusion. The accusing woman, a sharp-featured local in her 50s with a designer handbag clutched like a shield, pushed forward through the gathering crowd. "That's not her mother. I know her, it's a trick. Call the police, now." But the girl, Lila, Quinn's fierce little firecracker, lifted her head, chocolate-brown eyes blazing with a defiance that belied her size. "She is too. Quinn's my mom. The one who reads me stories about pirates and makes pancakes with faces." Her words tumbled out in a mix of English and the lilting Spanish she'd picked up from playgrounds and nannies, each syllable a lifeline thrown into the storm. Quinn's throat tightened, memories flooding in like the rain outside, Nevaeh's laughter echoing through their sun-drenched apartment in the Gracia neighborhood, the way she'd trace lazy circles on Quinn's back during those quiet evenings when Lila was finally asleep. Nevaeh, with her cascade of raven hair and eyes like smoked quartz, had been the anchor, the one who'd convinced Quinn, a wandering freelance photographer from Seattle, that roots could grow even in foreign soil. They'd met 3 years ago at a queer art exhibit in the Gothic Quarter, bonding over shared sketches of the Sagrada Familia's twisted spires. "You're like a storm captured in black and white," Nevaeh had whispered that night, her lips brushing Quinn's ear as they danced under strings of fairy lights. 6 months later, they were building a life together, Lila arriving via IVF with Nevaeh's egg and an anonymous donor's contribution, Quinn's choice to carry, to feel the kick of their future inside her. That future had unraveled 6 months ago, in the soft glow of a Catalan sunset filtering through their balcony doors. Quinn had come home early from a shoot in the Pyrenees, arms full of wildflowers from a roadside stand, only to find Nevaeh's phone buzzing incessantly on the kitchen counter. The messages were from Javier, a gallery owner with a reputation for charming his way into more than just contracts. "Last night was magic. When can we steal away again?" Quinn had read them aloud, her voice steady as rebar, but inside, she was crumbling. Nevaeh hadn't denied it, not fully. "It's nothing, Quinn. Just stress from the show. I love you. Us." But the words rang hollow, like echoes in an empty basilica. The betrayal had been a slow poison, seeping into every corner of their home. Quinn packed a bag for Lila and herself that very night, retreating to a cramped Airbnb in Elborn, telling herself it was temporary, a breather, not a fracture. Nevaeh begged, her tears carving rivers down her cheeks, but Quinn couldn't unsee the lies, couldn't rebuild trust on the rubble of just stress. Divorce papers followed, swift and American in their efficiency, filed remotely through a Seattle lawyer who specialized in expat queer families. Custody was the battlefield. Nevaeh, the biological mother on paper, demanded primary, citing Quinn's instability from the constant travel. Quinn countered with the everyday magic, the school runs, the bedtime rituals, the way Lila's laughter lit up like fireworks only for her. Today was supposed to be a truce, a supervised outing to mend the jagged edges before the court date next week. Nevaeh had dropped Lila off at the mall entrance with a stiff hug and a warning glance at Quinn, "Don't make this harder than it has to be." But Lila had bolted straight into Quinn's arms, chattering about wanting gelato and a new sketchbook for her pirate drawings. They'd wandered the labyrinthine halls of Lilla Diagonal, past boutiques hawking leather goods and churro stands wafting cinnamon-scented temptation, Lila's hand small and warm in Quinn's. For an hour, it felt almost normal, almost like before. Until the shriek. Now, as the guards radioed for backup, Quinn scooped Lila into her arms, the girl's legs wrapping around her waist like a koala in a tree. "Shove, baby, it's okay. Mommy's got you." The words were a mantra, pulling her back from the edge of panic. The crowd murmured in a polyglot hum, Spanish, Catalan, the occasional American twang from tourists snapping photos on their cells. Quinn's mind raced, call a lawyer. Scream for Nevaeh. But Nevaeh was across the mall, probably sipping coffee in that overpriced cafe, oblivious or, worse, orchestrating. The accusing woman, Issa Morales, Quinn would learn later, a nosy neighbor who'd always eyed their rainbow flag on the balcony with pursed lips, jabbed a manicured finger. "I saw her lurking. The child was crying earlier, calling for her real mother. This woman's an American drifter, probably snatched her for ransom." Lila twisted in Quinn's hold, her cone forgotten on the floor in a pink puddle. "Stop it. You're the liar. My moms are Quinn and Nevaeh, and we live by the park with the fountain that shoots water at noon." Her voice, high and unbroken, cut through the din, drawing gasps from the onlookers. A young couple nearby lowered their phones, faces softening. An older man in a beret nodded slowly, murmuring "Pobrecita" under his breath. One guard, a stocky guy named Paco, his badge glinting, knelt to Lila's level, his expression thawing. "Nina, what's your full name? And your mother's?" "Lila Harper Nevaeh," she declared, chin lifted like a tiny general. "And Quinn's my mom who grew me in her tummy. Nevaeh's the one who paints pictures and smells like lavender." The second guard snorted, but Paco's eyes widened, flicking to Quinn. "Harper. The photographer. I've seen your work in that queer mag, Barcelona in Bloom." Quinn nodded mutely, relief warring with exhaustion. Word spread like wildfire through the crowd, phones flipped to search, pulling up Quinn's portfolio, the family photos Nevaeh had posted before scrubbing them in a fit of digital rage. Issa Morales deflated, her accusations morphing into bluster about protecting the community. By the time Nevaeh arrived, hair disheveled, face pale as parchment, the scene had shifted. Lila wriggled free and ran to her, but only to drag her back to Quinn. "See? Both my moms. You gotta stop fighting." Nevaeh's gaze locked on Quinn's, a storm of regret and longing swirling in those quartz depths. For a heartbeat, the mall faded, the guards stepping back, the crowd dispersing like smoke, and it was just them, the 3 points of their fractured triangle, holding on by the thinnest thread. But threads fray, and this one was already unraveling. As they exited into the drizzling rain, Lila sandwiched between them, Quinn felt the weight of unspoken words pressing down. The accusation was a symptom, not the disease. The real betrayal lingered, a shadow that no child's cry could fully banish. Back in the Airbnb that night, as Lila sketched pirates under a blanket fort, Quinn poured wine, too much, too fast, and confronted the ghost in the room. "Was it worth it, Neva? Javier's magic." Nevaeh flinched, setting her glass down with a clink. "I messed up, Quinn. God, I know that. But losing you, losing us, it's killing me." Her voice broke, raw and American, stripped of the Spanish lilt she'd adopted for charm. They talked until the city lights blurred, peeling back layers of hurt, Nevaeh's fear of fading into motherhood, Quinn's terror of abandonment echoing her own fractured childhood in rainy Washington state. Kisses followed, tentative, then desperate, under the hum of the old radiator, bodies remembering what minds had forgotten. Yet dawn brought clarity, and with it, the court's shadow. The mall fiasco made local news, lesbian moms in custody clash, a tabloid feast that twisted their pain into spectacle. Nevaeh's gallery show tanked, Quinn's shoots dried up as clients whispered about drama. Lila, oblivious at first, started drawing pictures of broken ships, her pirates adrift on stormy seas. "Why can't we all live together again?" she'd ask, crayon in hand, her innocence a blade to the heart. Quinn and Nevaeh tried counseling, a soft-spoken therapist in a sunlit office overlooking the Ramblas, who urged radical honesty. Sessions unearthed more than betrayal: Nevaeh's immigrant roots from a conservative Mexican family in California, the pressure to be the perfect, queer icon; Quinn's nomadic past, running from a father who never understood her love for women, for lenses that captured truth. Love flickered anew, tentative as a match in wind, but trust was a house of cards, one gust from collapse. The climax brewed in the weeks leading to the hearing, a pressure cooker of stolen moments and simmering resentments. One evening, after a particularly brutal session where the therapist laid bare Nevaeh's lingering texts to Javier, just in case, Quinn snapped. She loaded Lila into the car, driving north to the Costa Brava without a word, chasing the horizon like a photograph she couldn't quite frame. Salt air and crashing waves promised escape, but Nevaeh's calls lit up the dashboard like accusations. "Where are you? This is kidnapping for real, Quinn." They holed up in a cliffside cottage, Lila building sandcastles while Quinn walked the shore, stones skipping across the sea like skipped heartbeats. Nevaeh arrived at midnight, tires screeching on gravel, her face a mask of fury and fear. "You can't just take her. We're equals in this, or were." The fight spilled out onto the deck, voices rising over the roar of waves, until Lila appeared in her pajamas, tear-streaked. "Stop. You're scaring the pirates away." In that raw unraveling, truths poured forth. Nevaeh confessed the affair was a desperate grasp for validation, not love. Quinn admitted her jealousy masked a deeper wound, the fear that she, the carrier, wasn't enough without the biology. They collapsed into each other, salt and tears mingling, the ocean bearing witness to vows renewed, fragile but fierce. The court hearing loomed like the spires of the Sagrada Familia, intricate, unfinished, a monument to human striving and folly. In the marbled halls of Barcelona's Palacio de Justicia, Quinn sat ramrod straight on a wooden bench that smelled of polish and old regrets, Lila fidgeting beside her in a starched dress that itched like accusation. Nevaeh was across the aisle, her posture a mirror of Quinn's, defiant, broken, flanked by a lawyer whose fees had drained their joint savings like a slow leak. The air hummed with the low murmur of clerks and the occasional sob from another family, a symphony of dissolution. Judge Ruiz, a stern woman in her 60s with silver-streaked hair pulled into a no-nonsense bun, peered over half-moon glasses at the dossier. "Señoras Harper and Nevaeh, this is not a criminal matter, but the child's welfare is paramount. The mall incident, sensationalized, yes, but it underscores instability." Her voice, laced with a Catalan accent, carried the weight of impartiality, but Quinn caught the flicker of curiosity, perhaps sympathy, in her eyes. The media circus outside hadn't helped. Paparazzi lurked like vultures, hungry for the Yankee lesbian drama headline. Quinn's lawyer, a wiry expat named Carla from Chicago, rose with the fire of someone who'd fought her own battles. "Your Honor, my client is the primary caregiver." Quinn carried Lila, bonded through 9 months of sacrifice. The separation was mutual, born of pain, but Quinn's home is stable, school enrolled, routines intact. She gestured to photos, Lila's artwork taped to fridge doors, bedtime stories captured in candid shots, Quinn's arms a safe harbor. Nevaeh's counsel countered smoothly, a silver-tongued local who painted Quinn as the flight risk, the American wanderer, camera always packed, roots shallow as beach sand. Señora Nevaeh provides cultural continuity, artistic inspiration. The affair. A lapse, forgiven in therapy. But Señora Harper's impulsive drive to the coast. That's endangerment. Lila's guardian ad litem, a kind-eyed social worker named Marta, testified next, her report a balanced scalpel. The child thrives with both. She speaks of Mommy Quinn for adventures, Mama Nevaeh for dreams. Separation would wound deeply. But the words hung heavy, the judge's pen scratching notes like judgments etched in stone. As the gavel fell for recess, Quinn slipped out to the courtyard, the fountains trickle a meager balm. Nevaeh followed, unbidden, her heels clicking like Morse code. Quinn. We can't let them tear us apart. Her hand brushed Quinn's, a spark in the chill November air. November 29, 2025, the date burned into memory like a tattoo. Quinn pulled away, the touch too much, too soon. You tore us first, Neva. With him. With the lies. But even as she said it, the anger ebbed, revealing the ache beneath, the love that betrayal couldn't fully extinguish. They'd been rebuilding in fits and starts, shared dinners where Lila orchestrated family charades, Nevaeh's sketches of their trio as mythical guardians, Quinn's photos capturing stolen smiles. Sex had returned, gentle and exploratory, bodies mapping forgiveness in the dark. Yet doubt lingered, a whisper, could they truly heal? The afternoon brought witnesses. Quinn's best friend from Seattle, visiting on a whim, video called in. Quinn's the steadiest soul I know, turned chaos into art, turned love into family. Nevaeh's mother, a stoic woman from East LA who'd once disowned her for loving women, now beamed through tears, mi hija y su esposa. They made my nieta. That's miracle enough. But the betrayal's ghost reared when Javier testified, subpoenaed, reluctant, his charm curdled under cross-examination. It was brief. Emotional, not physical beyond. Well. He trailed off, but the implication landed like a slap. Nevaeh buried her face in her hands, Quinn's fists clenched under the table, nails biting crescents into palms. Lila, waiting in the play area with Marta, drew a picture later, 3 figures holding swords against a dragon labeled "Bad Words." That night, in a neutral hotel near the Placa Catalunya, they convened for what Carla called strategic unity. Lila bounced on the king-sized bed, oblivious, while Quinn and Nevaeh paced the balcony, city lights twinkling like distant hopes. I hate this, Nevaeh whispered, leaning into Quinn's shoulder. Hate that my mistake is costing her, us. Quinn turned, cupping Nevaeh's face, thumbs tracing jawlines softened by exhaustion. It's costing because we let it. But Lila. She's our compass. Remember the vow. Through storms and spires. Their wedding, a DIY affair on a Montserrat hillside, wind-whipping veils, rings exchanged under olive trees. Nevaeh's laugh had been sunlight, Quinn's kiss, a promise. They made love then, slow and sacred, the room filled with the scent of rain-soaked streets and each other's skin. No rush, no conquest, just reconnection, hands learning scars as maps to home. Lila slept between them after, her curls splayed like a halo, small breaths syncing their heartbeats. The final day dawned gray, the courtroom packed with reporters straining for a scoop. Judge Ruiz delivered her ruling with measured grace, joint custody, 50-50, with mandatory co-parenting classes and quarterly reviews. Love is not possession, she intoned, but partnership. Honor that, for the child's sake, and perhaps your own. Relief washed over them like the Mediterranean's tide, but it was bittersweet. As they exited, arms linked around Lila, who hooped yay, both moms forever. Flashes popped like gunfire. SRA Morales lurked in the crowd, her glare of final barb, but Quinn met it with a nod, the weight of survival lightening her step. In the weeks that followed, reconstruction began in earnest. They sold the Gracia flat, too haunted by ghosts, and pooled resources for a modest villa in Sitges, a rainbow haven on the coast where queer families strolled hand in hand. Quinn scaled back shoots, teaching photography workshops to local youth. Nevaeh's gallery pivoted to family portraits, her brushstrokes infused with newfound tenderness. Lila enrolled in a bilingual school, her pirates now sailing ships with 2 captains at the helm. Yet drama simmered beneath the surface. Nevaeh's mother visited, her approval tentative, stirring old wounds when she pulled Nevaeh aside. That Quinn, she's too wild, mija. Like your father. Quinn overheard, the words a echo of her own dad's rejection, and stormed out into the night, camera slung over shoulder like armor. She walked the beach until dawn, framing waves in her lens, each click a release. Nevaeh found her at sunrise, coffee in hand, apology in her eyes. Mama doesn't get it, us. But I do. You're my wild, my home. They sat in the sand, toes buried, watching Lila chase gulls in the distance. That vulnerability cracked open deeper layers. Quinn confessed her fear of inadequacy, the carrier's burden twisted into doubt. Nevaeh revealed panic attacks from the custody war, nightmares of losing them both. Their romance reignited in small flames, picnics under fig trees, Nevaeh's fingers painting henna hearts on Quinn's wrists, Quinn capturing Nevaeh in golden hour light, fierce and unbroken. Lila orchestrated love lessons, forcing them to dance in the kitchen to old Motown records, her giggles the glue. But betrayal's scar tissue itched. A gallery opening brought Javier back into orbit, cordial, professional, but his lingering gaze at Nevaeh sparked Quinn's inferno. Is this the pattern? Temptation around every corner. The argument exploded in their garden, words like thorns, "You're suffocating me. And you're a ghost, haunting us." Lila, hidden behind a bougainvillea bush, emerged sobbing, clutching a wilted flower. "If you can't love each other, how can you love me?" The question hung, a mirror to their souls, forcing a reckoning. Therapy intensified, sessions delving into attachment wounds, Quinn's abandonment issues, Nevaeh's perfectionism. They journaled letters, read aloud by firelight. "I choose you, every dawn," Quinn wrote. "You're my canvas, unfinished and beautiful," Nevaeh replied. Climax crested on Lila's 9th birthday, a beach bash with lanterns and live flamenco. Midway through cake, chocolate layered with raspberry, Lila's favorite, Nevaeh pulled Quinn aside, a small box trembling in her hands. "Marry me again. Not for show, but for us, vows rewritten, stronger." Tears blurred the ring, a simple band etched with waves and spires. Quinn's yes was a whisper, a roar, sealing lips in a kiss that tasted of salt and forever. The second wedding was no hillside whimsy but a quiet affirmation in a Sigis chapel overlooking the sea, waves crashing like applause. Only Lila, their mothers, and a handful of chosen witnesses, Carla the lawyer, Marta the social worker, a smattering of queer artists who'd weathered their storms. Nevaeh wore a linen suit the color of dusk, Quinn a flowing dress in sage green, evoking the olive groves of their first vows. Lila, flower girl and ring bearer, scattered petals with gleeful abandon, her laughter chasing away the last shadows. Officiant, a non-binary rabbi from Brooklyn, expat like them, wove Hebrew and Catalan into blessings of resilience. In the face of fracture, you chose mending. May your love be the thread that binds. Rings slid on, vows spoken, I promise to see your wild, to hold your fears, to build with you, not despite the breaks, but because of them. Kisses sealed it, soft then fierce, the congregation's cheers mingling with gulls' cries. Honeymoon was a staycation, lazy days in their villa, Lila with grandparents, leaving Quinn and Nevaeh to rediscover rhythms. Mornings tangled in sheets, coffee brewed on the terrace, afternoons sketching side by side, Nevaeh's oils bleeding into Quinn's silver prints. Evenings, they walked the promenade, hands intertwined, sharing dreams deferred, a photography book on queer families in Spain, Nevaeh's mural for the local LGBTQ center. Intimacy bloomed anew, not the frantic reclaiming of before, but a deeper weave, bodies and souls aligned. Lila's adjustment was the true test. School brought bullies, whispers of two moms, weird, but she countered with drawings of her family as superheroes, capes billowing. Quinn volunteered for show and tell, projecting slides of their travels. Love looks like this, everywhere, every way. Nevaeh hosted art classes, turning taunts into collaborations. The mall incident became legend, retold as "The Day Lila Saved Us," a story that empowered rather than shamed. Yet life, dramatic as ever, tested their rebuilt foundation. A gallery scandal erupted. Javier, bitter from rejection, leaked altered emails implying Nevaeh's infidelity lingered, a smear to sabotage her rising star. Tabloids revived the "kidnapper moms" trope, twisting joint custody into unstable arrangement. Protests formed outside the center, conservative groups decrying American moral decay in pure Spain. Quinn felt the old wanderlust stir, camera itching for escape. Maybe we run, back to Seattle, start fresh. Nevaeh's grip tightened. No. This is our fight, our home. Together. They rallied, a press conference in the Plaza de la Villa, Lila at the podium with a sign, "My moms love me, that's enough." Voices joined, expats, locals, the rabbi's fiery speech on chosen families. The mural went up anyway, vibrant strokes of intertwined hands against a sunset sky, tagged, Amor sin fronteras. The backlash forged them stronger, betrayal's echo drowned in solidarity. Javier faced libel charges, his empire crumbling, Nevaeh's work soared, invitations from Madrid to New York. Quinn's book deal followed, through the lens of us, raw essays and photos chronicling their odyssey. Lila, thriving, penned her own chapter, Pirates don't give up, they sail on. Years blurred into a tapestry of ordinary miracles. Lila at 12, lanky and opinionated, advocating at school for gender-neutral bathrooms, family trips to the States, bridging Quinn's rainy roots with Nevaeh's sun-baked ones. Conflicts arose, teenage eye rolls, workaholic lapses, but they met them head-on, therapy a touchstone, date nights mandatory. On their 5th anniversary since the redo, Lila off at camp, the villa theirs, Quinn surprised Nevaeh with a private boat charter, sunset painting the sea gold. Anchored off the coast, wine flowing, Quinn pulled out a vintage camera, the one from their first shoot. "Smile for me, love. The real you." Nevaeh posed, then tugged her close. "Only if you join. Our story's not solo." Flash popped, capturing them entwined, wind-tousled, eternal. Later, under stars, they made promises anew, not grand, but grounded, "I'll mess up, but I'll show up. I'll doubt, but I'll believe." The ending wasn't fairytale flawless, no Hollywood fade to credits. It was humanistic, messy, profoundly American in its stubborn optimism, immigrants forging family amid cultural clashes, love a verb, not a noun. Betrayal had scarred, but scars tell tales of survival. In Spain's embrace, with its cathedrals half-built and passions unyielding, Quinn and Nevaeh raised a daughter who knew love's many faces, who called them both Mom without hesitation. And in quiet moments, as Lila slept and the sea whispered, Quinn would trace Nevaeh's profile, marveling, from accusation to anchor, they'd navigated the storm. Not unscathed, but unbreakable.